Hello, everybody, and good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm so glad to invite you back again, and I'm so glad to come into your homes or come into your hands if you're watching us on the phone. Okay, I'm so glad for this, because today is Monday, and Monday we always have an expert coming in, jumping in and supporting our audience and helping us with incredible, tremendous value. So I'm so excited. I'm so glad that today I'm going to introduce you our guest, who is a world-class expert in what we call stocks and investment. Okay. And he is from Singapore. So right now in Singapore, it is 3 a.m. So please stay tuned with us, stay with us and get the best out of it. And this is an interview, but if you want, you can just pop in and write down also you a question that you want to ask to our guest. So let me quickly introduce you briefly our guest, and then he'll be able to talk to you and introduce himself. So Resh is from Singapore right now, and he started his journey at 19 years old, and in 23 years, he was financially independent and made his first million at 26. That's how it's incredible. And while we're talking with him and planning this interview, he said, you know what, I can help you, and I can come in and talk of how to create constant monthly cash flow through stocks and investment. Okay, so how many of you right now in this moment of history, you would like to know how to create a constant cash flow? Extra constant cash flow, but constant monthly cash flow coming into your life right now. Okay, so get ready, get your notes, and please, if you're watching this live, please write down #live or write down #recording if you'll be watching the recording later on, and drop down in the comments and tell us which part of the world you are watching us right now. From which part of the world are you live right now with us? Okay, and so let me introduce you right now, Resh. Resh has been also the director of the Online Buffett Academy. Okay, and he has been working closely with Mary Buffett. So he's gonna show with us and share with us what is the principles of the Buffett method of investments. So ladies and gentlemen, get ready and let's welcome on stage our friend Resh from Singapore. There you go. Hello, Resh. Good evening and welcome to E2E. Welcome to Expert to Experts.
Thank you very much, Moses, for having me. It's my absolute honor and pleasure to be here. I can't wait to be able to share and add as much value as possible. So let's get right into it.
Amazing. So we've got right now Esther from London. Thank you, Esther. Welcome and join us. This is going to be amazing. And Resh, right now you're in Singapore and it's 3 a.m. So once again, thank you so much to be here with us. Okay. And I know that you have prepared something amazing and you're going to provide a lot of extreme value. So Resh, how did your journey start? How did you end up into stocks and investments?
So Moses, my journey is a very, very interesting journey, right? So basically it got born out of necessity, right? So what happened was when I was a lot younger, I only wanted to actually serve in the military. And so in Singapore, it's compulsory for every Singaporean male adult to go to the army, right? And all I wanted to do was actually serve the military, to actually sign on, to actually become a full-time soldier. That's what I actually intended to do, right? But life had other plans for me, right? So what happened was, when I was in the military, I actually had a very, very, very serious, illness befall me, right? So what happened was I actually had a blood vessel actually burst on the right side of my brain, and I actually had a stroke on the left side of my body. And this was
Wow.
when I was only at 18 years old, right? So what happened was I was immediately taken out of camp. I was actually sent to the hospital, and I know I spent a lot of time in the hospital trying to do rehab, trying to recover, and a lot of my dreams basically just got dashed, right? I was wanting to actually serve in the army, and that got dashed. I was wanting to do a lot of different things in my life, but I couldn't do it. So, I decided, hey, what can I do with my life right now? What do I want? What do I really, really want? And that's when I came down the world of learning about business, learning about investing. That's when I attended my first Success Resources event, right? I attended the event. I still remember very, very in back in 2012, right, when I attended the event. Robert Kiyosaki was in Singapore. And I attended the event and I listened to the different speakers. I listened to Marcus Di Maria. I listened to Robert Kiyosaki. I listened to all these guys, and they're talking about financial freedom. They're talking about, hey, how you can actually grow your wealth, how you can actually make passive income. And I was fascinated and told myself, hey, if these guys can do it, maybe I can, right? And so what I did was I enrolled with my first program. I enrolled my first program to actually learn about stocks, to actually learn about how to actually start investing in the markets. And that's how my journey first got started, right? And eventually from there, I was very, very disciplined to put money aside every single month to grow my account, to start investing, to start growing, to start experiencing the highs and the lows, right? So again, it's not easy. It's not easy. There's a lot to learn. The markets are ever evolving, right? So you've got to learn. You've got to keep yourself abreast of whatever is happening. And but eventually, I put the money aside. I got better and better, and eventually I started sharing this information in the world as well.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, what was your turning point? Was it that moment when you realized that there could have been more in your life, and what happened physically was kind of an awakening to you? Is that correct?
Yeah. So what happened in terms of like an awakening, right? In terms of awakening was very simply when, I realized that, hey, look, if you want to achieve that life of freedom, if you want to achieve that life of not having to be like everybody else, then guess what? You have to do what others are not willing to do, right? So
Mhm.
it's a very, very, it's a quote that you hear every time, right? It's a quote you always hear everywhere around, right? To live a life that nobody else can live, you got to be willing to do what nobody else will do. So the question is, what are you willing to do that nobody else will do, right? And for me, I had no desire to live a life like everybody else, so I decided to do what nobody else would do, to put myself out there, to start learning, to overcome my fears and my doubts. And eventually, what I did was I actually started learning, started growing, and I started building this business, which gave me this life of freedom as well, right? So, Moses, when you truly understand that, to achieve financial independence, you have to invest. When you truly understand that if you want to live a life unlike everybody else, you've got to do something different. That's when you go and pull together the resources necessary. You go learn what you need to learn to make sure you live a life that nobody else can live. I think that's something that is very, very important that I did, which was absolutely important, which was very, very important for me.
Yeah, and you say that you are willing to pay the price. You're willing to do what others were not willing to do. So you are willing to get out of that position because you said, I want to have something that right now may look as though it's costly now, but if I do it, the benefits in the long term will be, I mean, the collecting and the reaping of those benefits will be more rewarding than the sacrifice right now. And
Yeah.
for those of you who are joining us right now, we are talking of how to create constant monthly income, cash flow through stocks and investments. Okay. And Resh, in my coaching career, I get to coach a lot of business owners and a lot of people, and especially people who, the younger they are, the less willing they are to invest on time. Let me try to reframe it. Most of the times we look at the short term, what we can have right now, instead of looking at the long term. Okay. So, how much does mindset play the role in getting that financial freedom you are looking for when you are younger?
So let me share with something, Moses. To build upon your point, just now about paying the price. Are you willing to pay the price? So I want to share with you that, you either pay the price now or you pay the price eventually. You either pay the price of discipline today or you pay the price of regret later, right? So there's always a price to pay. When are you willing to pay the price, now or later, right? So again, if you're not willing to pay the price to exercise, if you're not willing to pay the price of keeping your body fit, then you're going to pay the price of living in an unhealthy body. You're going to have to pay the price of not being able to keep up your kids. You're going to have to pay the price of expensive hospital bills. So tell me, do you want to pay the price now or do you want to pay the price later? So again, very often, if you go for short-term pleasure, you end up with long-term pain. So again, when you succumb to the dopamine of having the pleasures of life or whatever. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have any pleasures in life, but what I'm trying to say is very, very simply, hey, look, you have to put in the sacrifice. You have to live that life of discipline. You have to be willing to do what it takes today if you want to live a life of comfort, if you want to live a life where you can actually provide for your family in the future, tomorrow, right? So that's something that is very, very important. And I can tell you, man, from experience, personally myself, if you're not willing to pay the price to really learn and educate yourself, then guess what? You're going to have to pay the price. So same thing in investing, right? People always tell me, oh, education is expensive. Education is expensive. I always tell them, hey, then you don't know the price of ignorance, right? The price of
Absolutely.
ignorance is far more expensive than the price that you have to pay to actually go and learn, for example, right? So that's something that I want to share, and it's super, super, super important, Moses, right? I cannot stress enough. If you're wanting to invest stock market, but you're not willing to go and invest with a mentor, for example, sure, go ahead and then experience how it's like to lose thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's not nice. It's painful, right, Moses? So that's basically my journey of investing and my advice, if you were to ask me, right, with regards to, hey, how can I actually get better in investing? Yeah, so that's what I want to share, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, we're talking about mindset, and I believe that mindset is the biggest asset we can have in life. And basically, mindset, the word breaks it down like setting up your mind, so you can set up your mind. So, what helped you? Yes, obviously, you had your mentor, which was Mary Buffett, and what helped you to set up your mind for that level of success and to achieve such high levels that now you're teaching others to do exactly what you did? What are the key elements of that mindset you need?
So one of the I think the most important thing is to always understand that you're a work in progress, right? Like,
Mm.
the moment you think that, oh yeah, I have it, then that will be the beginning of a downfall. So always understand that you're a work in progress. There's always something better to become. There's no such thing as, yeah, my mindset is very strong. It's, growing a mindset. It's an everyday thing, right? It's just like taking a shower. We take a shower every day, right? So the same thing happens for motivation, right? Motivation, your mindset, for example, is something that we need to spend time to work on, to cultivate every single day, so we can start dreaming bigger, so that we can actually start programming our mind for success. The moment you wake up, the thoughts in your head, the emotions that you feel will control exactly the outcome and the results that you actually achieve, for the day, for the week, for the year, right? For your life, right? So it's important to control what's between this line, very, very, very important. So Moses, when you talk about mindset and the work that you do to help people with their minds, man, I cannot stress enough, you master your mind, you master your destiny, right? If you let your mind control you, then you're screwed.
Yeah. And obviously, you made your investment, you paid your investment. I love so much what you said, and I wrote it down because it was so powerful. You either pay the price of discipline now or the expensive price of regret later. The way you phrased it was so powerful, and thank you so much to have shared this. Okay, and when it comes to mentors, okay, you had the privilege of getting to have Mary Buffett. I mean, the daughter-in-law of Warren Buffett. So the oracle of Omaha. So how did you get to that proximity and to that high network of people and that environment? How did it happen?
So how it happened very simply was, through attending one of my programs, to attending the programs that I actually talked about, right? What happened was I got to actually know the founder, right? I got to know him very personally, and for him, his personal mentor was Mary as well, and through him, I actually got introduced to the inner circle, and I got introduced to Mary as well, right? And again, they're very, very impressed by my results at an early young age, because I managed to grow my portfolio significantly. I had good results, and that was how I actually got introduced to Mary. That's how I, got the opportunity to travel around the world to actually learn, to actually grow the entire brand together with her as well. Right. So that was the journey of how I actually got started and how I actually grew the entire thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Moses, just to share with you, when I had this chance and opportunity to hang around people like Mary, right? People who are operating at a different level,
Mhm.
people who are much better off, financially, or much better off intellectually, right? You're forced to grow. You're forced to learn. You're forced to actually become better at your craft. You are forced to actually become better at what you do, right? And eventually you learn and you grow a lot faster as well, right? So just before this interview, you talked about the power of your environment, and making sure that you're surrounding yourself with better quality people. I think it's very, very important, because your results will be shaped, right? Will be shaped primarily by who you are spending your time with. Your results will be shaped by who you are, who you are around with, and there will be the level of income as well, right? So again, a very, very, very important thing which I always, always speak about. And if you get stuck in a rut, it's simply because of the people that you're surrounded yourself with. I truly believe that, man.
Yeah. And you remind me what my mentor told me when I started my journey into coaching. He was always telling me, upgrade your peer group, upgrade your peer group. And one thing that is related to even your journey in investments and stocks is the fact that your network is your net worth. So, because of that peer group that you had, you were able to generate that financial independency at such an early age, 23 years old, okay, and you made your first million at 26. So
Moses,
this,
can I add to that? Can I add to that? You're
yeah,
right.
please.
I want to add to that. So a lot of people say your network is your net worth. I agree, right, to just a certain extent, right? But ultimately, the value that you can bring to your network is your net worth, right? So the
Wow.
yeah. So the thing is, you can know a lot of people, right? But the truth of the matter is, how do you attract opportunities in your life? How do you attract these people to want to work with you? The question is, what is the value that you can actually bring to them? Because ultimately, the value that you actually bring to your network is your net worth. Okay, so that's something that I constantly ponder and think about, right, Moses? Let's imagine right now Jeff Bezos is in front of you, right? Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, right? What is the value that you can bring to him?
Mhm.
What is there something that is there something that you can do that will be of value to him, right? And if the answer is no, hey, what can we possibly learn? How can we actually become a person of value so they can actually provide this value? So again, yeah, why would he want to do business with you, for example, right? Right now, we might not have the answer, right? I might not have the answer, but it's something to ponder,
Absolutely.
right? Something to ponder about, right? So again, like, how do you create a $1 billion business? How do you become a billionaire? How do you become, mega rich? The answer lies in, what's the value they can bring to the people around you, right? If you have a product, if you have a service, they can actually bring value to millions, billions of people around the world, right? Then, hey, people will start talking to you, and that's how you create and generate more wealth in your life. So again, the value that you bring to your network is your net worth.
Wow. So as I mean, in coaching, What you have done right now is turning perspective, giving a different perspective, a different point of view. So this was so valuable because I always knew that the network is your net worth. But now Resh has taken it to another level. The value you bring to that network is your net worth. That's so amazing. Now, we've got a question from somebody who is on Twitch. Okay, I'm gonna put it on the screen because it's a long question. So this question is: greetings from the UK, Moses. I have a question for Resh, if I may. So let's go to my question because this guy is saying that he likes my quote. That's amazing. So the question to Resh is: what are your thoughts on the recent findings of Hawking radiation, and how do you think it will affect the stock market in terms of sizable investments? This is a question for you.
Hawking radiation, very interesting,
Yeah,
right? So I'm just again, this is I'm just going to be very honest, right? Like the Hawking radiation is something to do with black holes, right? And how black holes have been conjured up in labs. So my personal take is this, right? Like how would it actually affect investments? My personal take is, it's not going to affect investment. It's not going to affect the investing world too much, right? So let me just share with you something, right? Sometimes Hawking radiation happens. Last year COVID-19 happened, right? Like wars happen, Myanmar happens. Every year something will happen, right? But guess what? The stock market, as the market in a whole, will always rally and go up. So we always got to come down to the fundamentals of what the stock market really is, right? And it's a marketplace of companies, of businesses, and that's exactly essentially what it is, right? It's a place where business actually are. It's where people actually, the entire financial world puts their money to, and that's exactly what runs the entire globe, right? And there will always be some sort of news. There'll always be some sort of thing which makes people scared and worried, right? Like, oh man, this is happening. Let me reduce my investments. But hey, there's a very important saying: more money is lost in anticipating a correction than in a correction itself, right? So if we are constantly reactive to different news like Hawking radiation, like many different things, then hey, we're going to be losing money, right? So if you ask me, will that actually affect the amount I actually invest in the markets? Not at all. That wouldn't affect me.
yeah. And DJ Yannick is saying, by the way, DJ Yannick is on Twitch. He's following us right now on Twitch. And he's saying, that's a relief to hear. I can continue to invest without the worry of throwing my money into a black hole and watching it disappear. That's quite funny. And also it's the truth because as Resh has said right now, if we look at everything that are external factors, okay, we will be paralyzed, okay? If we look at anything that's happening outside, we will not take a move and we won't even have the courage to go outside. But you know what? Every day we do something which is we take a step of faith. We don't know what's going to happen, but we take action. And now, talking about action, Resh, when it comes to stocks and investment, okay, there's an emotional maturity you need to have. So, how much can emotions affect the success or the non-success in coming to stocks and investments?
Okay, so Moses, I want to share with you something, right? I want to be very upfront, very clear with you, and just share with you that hey, guess what? In the investing world, there are millions of people, right, participating. Millions and millions of people are participating. People who are far smarter than you and I, right? Far smarter than you and I. People who are incredible at what they do, right? So what separates you from them? What separates you from anybody else? And I want to just share with you that hey, what separates us is our emotions, right? Our emotions and the ability to think rationally, right? So again, you must understand that generally humans are very reactive, right? The moment something happens, we start yelling, right? So the moment we hear a black hole, oh my goodness, I'm going to throw my money in the black hole. Let me exit right now, right? So it's very important to be emotionally calm, emotionally stable, and that is truly the only thing that will set you apart from the rest, right? Like, you've got to be able to have a discerning mind to actually understand what is noise, what isn't noise. Okay. And the ability to be able to control, instead of getting, sometimes we actually hear like, oh, oh, this is really good, and then the price shoots up, and then you're like, oh, I should invest more. You go and put more, go and put more, right? So it's important to actually have a defined set of rules in investing, and it's important to follow that set of rules in investing. So again, I always tell people, in the end of the day, your results in investing will be determined by your ability to actually follow your rules, your system. And if you're actually following your system, then you'll actually achieve success. If you deviate from your system and you start going against your own rules, it might work short term, but eventually it'll come to bite you, right? So don't flout the system. Follow the system through. If you believe it works, if you're modeling after another person's system, then guess what? Eventually it will pay off.
All right. And before I ask another question, we have our friend who is saying, very wise words, Rachel Moses. Thank you for easing my mind. Take care, you beautiful people. So, wherever you are, just keep on watching us. And if you have a question, just pop it down in the comments. It will come on the screen, and Resh will answer your questions. And this will be useful. Now, Resh, coming to the rules. Could you just tell us 2-3 rules that you have when it comes to your portfolio of investments, and what do you do with them?
Okay, so the first rule, which is very, 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 very important, I feel, is to make sure that you always follow what we call position sizing. Okay, the only thing that we can control in the markets is how much we are actually putting towards a particular investment, right? So I always tell people, in building a stock investing portfolio, for example, build it out to be about 10 companies, right? So about 10 companies. So that's something that I actually have as well, right? So there's this saying, don't have like, just like having too many children, right? If you have too many children, you can't keep count, you can't keep track, you can't be able to handle them, right? So again, choose your list of companies that you want to invest in and just stick to them, right? And again, the beauty behind stocks versus children is that, with children you can't throw them away, right? With stocks, and if you don't like them, you can replace them with something else, but maintain that portfolio, right, of good companies, good solid companies, a quality list of companies, about 10 companies. That's number one. All right, that's the first rule that I always talk about. The second rule, that is a very, very important rule in investing. Okay, a second rule is always very, very, very important in investing, is to always make sure that we continue compounding our money, right? So what do I mean to say, right? Coming back down to the bare bones of investing, always, if you're earning money, if you're working, you're producing income, always put aside, what's the sum of money I can actually put aside to put towards my investing, to continue compounding, to continue that journey of compounding. It's very, very, very important. So it's not just a one-time thing. It's a constant effort to constantly keep growing your investments. Do you know what I mean, Moses?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Very,
absolutely.
very, very important, right? So that habit of putting money aside, the habit of compounding your money, the habit of constantly investing and growing the nest egg, that's basically what will get you free, right? So it's not just a one-time investment and I'm done, right? It's about, how can I constantly grow my pot? How can I constantly put money aside to actually grow the nest egg, to actually become, from a small egg to a big golden egg? It's very, very, very important, man.
So your tip is to always make sure you have a small amount that you put in the pot. When that amount reaches a level that you want, then you invest, or every single time you keep on putting into the market.
Yep. So it depends on what the amount is for you, for yourself, right? So if you're talking about, let's say you're able to put aside maybe a couple of $100, for example, then you can put aside a couple of amount until it's a sizable amount enough to put into the markets, right? So this is one rule that I always say, right? So again, it's important to invest in yourself, to learn, right? So once you actually learn the systems, once you actually learn how to do it properly, then you're able to do it a lot more effectively, right? And a lot of people nowadays, they get into investing, they get into the stock market by just listening to tips, right? Like, okay, I'm hearing a YouTube tip, I'm hearing a tip from this guy or that guy, and they don't really understand how to do it themselves. They don't really understand how to actually build out a system for themselves. And when they actually have that trouble, then guess what? you're never truly free because you're always depending on the opinions of others. So it's important to build up a framework for yourself so you can actually make intelligent investments based on your own decisions.
Okay, that's really amazing. And then we've got always our friend, okay, who is saying, can we bend the rules slightly with investments?
Okay, can we bend the rules slightly in investments? It depends on what rules you're looking to bend. All right, it depends on what rules you're looking to bend. So basically, what I do, right? So just to share with you, DJ NX, right? So when you're asking about can we bend the rules in investment, so what's important is that, okay, for example, for me, I don't invest in, let's say, penny stocks, right? So penny stocks are
Mhm.
companies that are, really small speculative stocks. I don't believe in, putting a huge portion of my portfolio. But what I do have is what I have. I call it a R&D fund, right? Research and development fund. I call it my play money fund, right? So I make sure my core, my base of investments is settled, and then the remaining amount I use to, experiment and play with, right? So if you're looking to invest in something that is, highly speculative, right, which is bending the rules, for example, go ahead, but don't go and use your whole account to do it, right? So let's say, for example, I'm exploring maybe investing in this new, initial coin offering, right, with some new cryptocurrency, for example, right? Like for example, Moses, yesterday there was this coin that got listed called Alice, and in one day it shot up 32,000%, right? It's crazy. 32,000%. That is nuts, right? So if you invested $100, there will be $32,000 overnight, right? Like it's insane. It's incredible. But again, this kind of opportunity exists. But then again, you hear the same thing with a company being listed, and then tomorrow it drops 100%. Right? Anything like that can happen. So the question is, okay, cool. I want to put aside maybe a small amount of money, maybe 5,000, 10,000. What can you actually afford to lose? And with that, maybe with that sum, you can maybe possibly bend the rules a bit. But make sure your core portfolio is settled first.
Okay. Then we have a question from Maria. Maria is asking, what is the most important to invest money? Interesting in new building or something else? So first of all, Maria, Resh is an expert on when it comes to invest and create cash flow in stocks and investments. But I believe, Resh, you've got the question, you can address it.
Wait. The question is, I don't really understand this question. What's the most important to invest money? Well,
Yeah,
can
I
you?
believe the question is, what is the most important thing to invest money in? Because I'm interested in investing in new building, or I should do it on something else.
Okay, so again, I believe the question is, should we be investing in maybe properties, new properties, for example, or something else, right? What's the most important? Okay, cool. So, in my personal opinion, right, everybody has a different risk appetite, right? So some people, they go into property investing, they like to actually go into that, right? So if you're starting out, some people actually prefer going to equities, right? So currently, right now, if you personally ask me, I invest in properties, I invest in stocks, I invest in commodities, a whole range of different um, products, right? If you ask me currently right now, there is tremendous liquidity in paper assets. Prices are increasing exponentially, and that's where a lot of opportunity lies, right? So for me, I'm a big investor in the stock market. I also invest quite a bit in equity, in cryptocurrency as well, right? And that's something that we're seeing huge growth in, right? So as opposed to, let's say, for example, you're buying a new building, you're putting down large amounts of capital and expecting maybe a return of investment of maybe 5, 10, or maybe a percentage only after many years, right? Like, look, you can actually put your money into that, or you can put your money into something that is slightly more liquid. Obviously, you have to be able to stomach the volatility, but if you're able to do that, you're able to get far, far greater returns through the equity market currently right now, or even the cryptocurrency world as well. So that's something you can look at. But then again, what's most important is to understand yourself, right? What is your risk appetite? What are you comfortable with? Are you comfortable with a lot of volatility, a lot of risk, or are you comfortable with just being a little bit more steady, right? If that's you, then maybe you can look towards investing maybe in a new building, for example. If not, then hey, do explore, like, hey, how do you actually invest in other things, right? In the equity market, cryptocurrency. I think that would be far greater.
Wonderful. That's amazing. And we've got a question from the audience. Today, the audience is quite excited. So, another question is thoughts on Bitcoin. What is your thoughts on, and I want to add on one thing. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin and what are your thoughts in general in the cryptocurrency? Because Warren Buffett was quite critical a couple of months and years ago regarding the Bitcoin. So, you being a student of Mary Buffett, what is your point of view in this topic?
So currently right now we see Bitcoin trading at, has of this time of speaking, right, on the 15th of March, where you're from.
Yeah.
It is $56,000 per Bitcoin, right?
Wow.
We've seen an increase of over 100% year to date. In the last 2.5 months, we've seen the price of Bitcoin increase close to 100%, right? It's incredible, right? The growth of it is insane. In the last 1 month, we've seen companies like MicroStrategy, Tesla, Square, PayPal, right? So many other companies start buying Bitcoin has, has a hedge, right? Essentially, right? So what we are seeing currently right now is not just companies, it's not just governments introducing it, right? So recently, even the Singapore government as well introduced a Bitcoin exchange, right? We're not just seeing governments actually adapt, we're actually seeing companies, institutions, and individuals putting their monies into cryptocurrency, right? So, in the past, Warren Buffett was very, very critical, right? He always mentioned that it has no value, for example. But currently, right now, people are looking at cash and thinking, hey, what value does cash bring? And that's the reason why a lot of these innovative companies are rather piling their cash reserves into something they can grow exponentially. And that's the reason why, we see companies like Tesla putting more than $1 billion into Bitcoin, right? So if you were to ask me, how can you make your money work for you? You've got money sitting down in the bank earning little to nothing, right? 1%, 0.5% interest, 0.05%, whatever the amount is in your country, right? Hey, look, to me, Bitcoin, right, is a great alternative, right, to actually putting your money to help it grow, right? So, do I feel that there's a big future ahead? The answer is absolutely, right. We haven't even approached mass adoption, right? So when we do approach mass adoption, it'll be a little bit too late, right? Currently, right now, prices are skyrocketing, but a lot of people are getting into it without properly understanding the basics, the frameworks, and actually getting educated behind what is actually happening in the cryptocurrency world. So I think it's important for us to actually go and learn and go and understand it. But hey, then again, don't wait until you learn everything. Right? Put some money aside, put some money into some Bitcoin, for example. You can watch your money really truly grow quite a bit. But of course, one thing you got to understand is that there will be a lot of volatility, so you got to be able to stomach the volatility as well.
Okay. And how much percentage of your portfolio is in Bitcoin?
Currently, right now, I'm advocating to my clients to actually have at least 20%, right? So it's actually increasing quite a bit. But yeah, it's just, you gotta, one of my things that I always tell my people is that go where the money is flowing, right? Go where money is flowing. So then again, if you are very, very set in your way. So, Moses, I want to tell you something. From last year, 2020 onwards, all right, from 2020 onwards, we've got to understand something, and that is that the world is changing, and if we do not adapt our ways, we'll be left behind, right? Like, I think you are a speaker on the global stage, you speak all around the world, but guess what, all of that got wiped out, right? And now we're stuck at home, we're stuck in a room doing, StreamYard and doing video conferences, yeah. But if we do not adapt, right, then we're going to be obsolete. It's very, very important, and the longer you take to move, the longer you take to adapt, the more obsolete you become. So it's very, very important to adapt, right? So what do I mean in terms of investing? Same thing, man. If you're going to be very, very set in your ways, and I'm only going to invest in these kind of companies, for example, then you'll be left behind. Let me give you an example, right? So again, If you were to look, if you were to look at financial strictly, right? If you look at financial strictly, and hey, I'm only going to invest in companies that meet XYZ criteria. Only if they're earning money. Only if they're cash flow positive. Only if their debt is very very low, for example. Then you would have never invested in a company like Tesla, right? Because Tesla will break all the rules, right? Like what DJ NX said, break all the rules of investing in a profitable business, right?
Yeah,
However, right, if you look at Tesla, you look at their potential, if you look at where it can actually go in the future, if you look at how they're actually growing, their following, how they're actually growing their numbers in terms of the amount of cars they're actually selling, right? In terms of how electric vehicles are being mass adopted around the world, to actually look at how governments are actually changing the entire policies to actually suit the electric vehicle market. If we actually understand,
absolutely.
right, we actually understand that, and we actually understand the potential, then guess what? In the last year, Tesla would have helped you to 10x your money, right? Like seriously. So you've got to be able to adapt, right? And if you're stuck in your ways of only investing in a certain group of companies, then look, your returns are not going to be as explosive. You won't be able to adapt as fast and as quickly as the entire world is moving.
Okay. All right. That's really insightful, because you are talking of how if somebody would have invested last year in Tesla where the shares were lower, they would have more than 10x their amount of money straight away from where they were at the beginning. So
Yeah.
this is really amazing. So how to catch the trends?
Okay, great question. All right. So Moses is asking me, how do we catch the trends of investing right now? There's already So okay. So one of the things they want to tell you, Moses, is questions. The question which I always ask my audience is this: what do you believe can grow 5 to 10 times bigger in the next 5 10 years?
Hmm.
Right. What is it can that can really grow 5 to 10 times bigger in the next decade? Right? And if we really sit down and we think about it, right? Interestingly, I asked this question many years ago, right? As in, I've always been asking a question in my classes many years ago, and many people told me, very similar: electric vehicles, clean energy, for example, biotechnology, right? Healthcare, and these are sectors that yes, many years ago, they if you say them, yes, they have grown quite tremendously. Even in 2021, right, where we are currently right now, if we say the same things, they're going to grow tremendously as well, no doubt, right? So again, what we want to do is we want to select the highest quality companies within these sectors and industries and
Yeah.
diversify them, right? And when we do that, that's exactly how we actually catch on to these trends. There's no saying which one is going to pop tomorrow, right? There's no saying which one's going to pop on Tuesday, on Tuesday, or what's going to pop next month, right? But hey, then again, if we do have sums of money in the different growth sectors, eventually one two of them will take off, right? So that's basically what it is. It's impossible to go and time exact when things are going to pop and just go up like crazy. It's impossible to do that. But guess what? Otherwise, if we look at the markets and we actually invest enough money into different growth explosive sectors, is exactly how we catch major waves, man. Right? So let me give you an example. So one of the companies that I've been investing in for a very, very long time, right, is this company that I really like, and its company is actually called Solar Edge, right? Solar Edge. I've been investing and looking at this company for a very, very, very long time, and again, it's one of the forefront companies in solar technology, right? They do a lot of good work in the entire solar industry, right? And I've been investing in this for years. Went through so much volatility, ups and downs. But I always have the belief that the entire world will move more towards clean energy sources. They will move more towards solar technology, right? And this is one company that has far outperformed all my expectations, all my what I actually thought it could actually do, right? And this company eventually grew more than 300% from my initial purchase price. So that comes with conviction, that comes with patience in holding on to good companies over the long term.
That's really incredible. The tip that Resh has given us right now, if you want to catch the trends, do your research and analyze what could grow 5 to 10 times in the next 3 to 5 to 10 years. So, once again, we come back to the time factor. Don't look at the immediate benefits, look at the long time race. That's really amazing. And this is what you learned also from Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, now he's how old is he? 86, 87, and he has been always investing. No short things, but always constant, solid, long-term investment. Keep things for a long while and let them grow and compound. So that's really, 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 really amazing. And as we're getting to the end of this amazing interview, when it comes to choosing what are the steps to do, okay, we say that we have some elements like the rules, which are important to follow, okay, and then the mindset, so control your emotions. In this journey, how important was the support of your family and who was around you? Because it didn't happen overnight. And in this world, we want things to happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight. It took its right time. Okay. So, how vital and how important was the support of your loved ones or whoever was around you?
It was vitally important. Like I mentioned, right, you've got to surround yourself with incredible people. And I was very, very thankful because I was surrounded by family members who were always supportive of my dreams of what I actually wanted to achieve. And I think that was what helped me to achieve my success. I truly, truly loved it. I appreciated it, and I grew, right, because of their support, because of their love for me. And again, if so again, sometimes you might be watching and thinking to yourself, oh man, but I don't have people who can actually support me, right? I don't have family members who want to support my dreams. And I understand, right? But if you don't have that, guess what? The only one person who can actually motivate and actually push you is you, right? So you've got to actually find that inherent motivation as well. And like Moses said, put yourself in uncomfortable situations, put yourself in environments where you can actually learn and grow and get around people who will push you to become better. I think that's the most important thing, right? And ultimately, your environment is more powerful than your willpower can ever be, right? So if you're around good people, if you're around people who will push you to actually become better, then guess what? You will become better, right? So again, trust and believe in yourself, and most importantly, surround yourself with good people around you who can push you to greater heights.
That's powerful. And when it comes to getting involved into stocks and investments, is there a time frame, for example, a certain age or a limit? Like, oh, you are 60, forget about it, it's too late, you're done, your time is over. What can you say about this?
Okay, great question. So for me personally, every single person that I've met always says, "I wish I started when I was earlier."
Mhm.
People who start when they're 19 say, I wish I started when I was earlier. I wish I started when I was earlier." So the best time to start was yesterday, right? The best time to start was yesterday. So there's no age limit in terms of regulations. Typically, like most brokerages will allow you to open a brokerage account when you turn 18. However, I know far many people who actually have started investing early as well, right? Sometimes parents can actually open a joint account for their children to start investing. That's something that is possible. But as long as you're a working adult, it's not an issue to start investing as soon as possible. So that's number one. The second thing is there a limit, right, with regards to is it too late, for example? It's really dependent on yourself. It really dependent on your own attitude towards learning. It's dependent on your attitude towards growing, right? Your own mindset, your skill set, right? So it's very important to be, senile, right? It's important to be able to discern, read, and be able to analyze information. That's number one. And number two, what's very, very, very important is, most importantly, please, investing is a activity, is a sport that you should be actually using amounts of money that you can actually afford to put aside, right? You can actually afford to put aside. So don't go crazy and go and put your entire life savings and stuff, right? You don't want to get into situations where you start panicking and then you start making irrational decisions and then you lose money, right? So when you hear in the world of investing of people losing all this money, for example, it's when they start getting irrational. It's when they start getting emotionally unstable, and then they make decisions and they make choices which put them in jeopardy, put them in harm instead of doing good for them, right? So that's something that is very, very important, man.
Okay, and this is wonderful what you said right now. And as we're finalizing, what would be your number one advice you can give to our audience regarding stocks and investments?
Hey, the number one advice for stock investing is really, guys, no, honestly speaking, um, get yourself educated, get yourself learning, right? Like the cost of the investment in yourself, the investment in education is so very important. It will far outweigh, right? And give you so much more benefits than being ignorant, right? If you're following somebody who is great, somebody who's actually practiced and actually done it before, it will bring you far greater rewards than being ignorant, my friends. Let me just share with you the cost of not being financially literate. It's very, very expensive.
Hmm.
I cannot stress this enough, right? Why do people struggle financially? Why do people, live lives from month to month, from day to day? The reason why is because they chose not to be financially educated, right, guys? So again, you might be experiencing this in your life. And if you do a reflection, it's because maybe you didn't put in the effort, you didn't put in the time, you didn't put in the money, you didn't put in the resources to get yourself educated. And that's the reason why possibly you're suffering financially, like wondering, what am I doing in my life? Right? Why am I not having enough income to support and give my partner, my spouse, my family the life of their dreams? The reason why is because you didn't put the time aside. You chose to put things aside every single time. Guess what? It's never too late. Today is the day you change. Today is the day you change. Today is the day that you commit to learning. Today is the day you commit to actually expanding your knowledge to say, hey, enough with that BS. I'm going to do it today. I'm going to do it right now.
Amazing, amazing. And when it comes to you personally, Resh, what is your why? What is your mission? Why are you doing what you're doing right now?
Great question, Moses. Right. So my why is very simply to help people get alleviated from financial pain. Right. My why is to be able to bridge the knowledge gap. My why is to be able to create a community of people who are able to not just make money, but to be able to make a difference in the world. Right. So in this financial market, sometimes you get very overtaken by people who get very greedy, people who actually want more and more and more and more, and there's never a stop to it, right? So for me, my vision, which is on my board, is to create the largest community of givers in the world, right? That is one of my core vision. And I believe in the power of giving. I believe in the power of being a blessing, right? One of my slogans is, I'm blessed to be a blessing, right? And I always tell people that, hey, you are blessed to be a blessing. So guess what, right? Like, harness that power that God has given you to create wealth, but use that to be a blessing to the people around you. Use that to be a blessing to the people, to everybody who you can actually impact. And yeah, that's the reason why I do what I do, to alleviate people from financial pain and to be able to help them, give them purpose and a reason to be a blessing to the people around them.
That's really powerful and that's really touching. Thank you to have shared this because it always brings it to a good fundamental that it's not about you, it's about others. And as a contrary of what we saw in the movies of The Wolf of Wall Street, which was an exaggeration of what the world of stocks and market is and everything. What you're saying, you to be able to be blessed so you could be a blessing and to create the largest community of givers. That's really amazing. And as we are closing up, where can people know more about you? I know you're going to be our guest also on Thursday, okay? Where Thursday he's going to do a special workshop only for you guys, okay? But if somebody wants to get in touch with you, where can they find you? Where can they follow you? LinkedIn, Facebook, please.
Okay, so basically, you can actually follow me right on Instagram at Six Pack Investor. You can also follow Buffett Online School as well, right? So if you go onto Instagram, you go and look for Buffett Online School. That's where you can actually look for me, right, and find you can find the details about our school, right? So www.buffettonlineschool.com. That's where you can actually look up the school, and hey, you can sign up for our programs from there as well. So I look forward to seeing you all on Thursday, my friends, where I'll actually dive deep into opportunities, and I'll bring on a guest as well, where we can actually share and actually teach you all some absolutely amazing information.
Amazing, amazing. So everybody tune in on Thursday, 7 UK time, and we're gonna have an amazing workshop created for you guys, and something to dive you in something really special. And stay tuned. Resh, thank you so much to have joined us deep in the night in Singapore. Now have a good rest, have a good night, and we catch up on Thursday. You have been truly, 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 truly a blessing. So there you go. That's where they can find more information about you. Buffett Online School. Okay, Todd has just put it right now on the screen, and please just join us on Thursday for an amazing workshop. And it was a privilege to be with you, Resh. And thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Have a good deep rest, and we really appreciate your effort, your passion, and your calmness in explaining things that look and sound complicated. Stocks and investment, you made it so basic. Follow rules, educate yourself, and be surrounded by people where you can give even value. These are the three major core points that we got from this amazing interview. Thank you so much, Resh. Wish you an amazing, blessed evening, and see you on Thursday.
Thank you very much, brother. I'll see you very soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. And for those of you who have remained, it has been a privilege to have you right now. And I wish you all an amazing rest of the evening. And for those of you who want to know more about what we are doing, you can follow my page on Facebook. And E2E is an amazing program that can help you. We bring value every single Monday. We bring you an amazing guest that can come and provide you, support you, and equip you. And then on Thursdays, we've got a workshop where we can add more value and dive in deeper to help you and to support you. Okay? For those of you who want to know more info, you're going to find the comments in on all my profiles. Okay? So thank you so much. Wish you an amazing rest of the evening. Stay strong, stay safe, stay blessed. And my name is Moses, and I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to make sure that you live that outstanding life that you were created to live and what you truly deserve. Stay strong. Love you. Ciao.